I'm Jessica Peresta, host of the Elementary Music Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I think it's Thursday. I've lost track of time, but yes, whatever day of the week it is, just thank you so much for making us part of your day, part of your listening pleasure. And thank you, as always, for all of your support, all the likes, shares, follows. Guys, thank you so much for really blowing up this podcast, and we really appreciate all the connections that we've been able to make. And I am definitely thankful for the added value that we can bring to you with these amazing conversations in the ed tech space and the creator space. And I'm really excited about today's chat because, again, you may see William here and you may say, hey, that's a familiar face. I think I've seen him on the show before. Well, it is because you have seen him on the show before, probably about close to 6 months ago. William was a guest as soon as we know that ChatGPT kind of, blew up and everybody was worried what's going on, what's going to happen. And William was here as he started, providing some consulting services to school districts around his area. And he shared a great story about what is happening at that time. But now William has definitely been busy in this education space, AI space. And I know that it's been 6 months, but a lot has happened since. So, William, thank you so much for being back on the show. How are you this evening?
I'm absolutely fantastic. How are you, Fonz?
I'm doing great, William. And again, it's a pleasure to have you back here and also a pleasure to see all the work that you have been doing since you were last here on the show about 6 months ago and how busy you've been and, being out there on, in the classrooms, meeting with teachers, being there in the front lines as you have seen AI take off. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation to see and hear more about what you have been experiencing. But before we do that, William, if this is the first time that we have some new audience members that are catching the show or maybe not familiar with the previous episode, can you please give us a little brief introduction and then your context in the education space?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this past 6 months have been absolutely crazy. I'll never forget them, that's for sure. But my name is William Gruby. I'm a master's student in computer science at North Dakota State University. All my intern work was done at a service co-op that services schools with cybersecurity. So from there, I got to be hands-on with schools with technology. I really got to understand that teachers put on a lot of different hats throughout the day. They don't always have the time to understand these new tools that are coming out with something as prevalent as artificial intelligence and how powerful it is. I understood that they did need to know about it. So that's where I decided to step in and kind of bridge the gap between computer science and technology and education. And I started presenting at schools. I presented at 30 plus schools. It started in my area, spread out throughout the nation. I believe you have 35 plus now presentations that involved a presentation at the Innovative School Summit in Vegas this past weekend. And from those presentations and getting feedback from teachers, I developed an AI in education training program, which has been adapted by numerous schools. And it seems like every week we sign on, 3-4 more schools. So that is how everything has been going for the past 5 months.
Well, it sounds like you haven't really been doing much, I might say. No, I am just kidding. But look, I'm really excited. Most importantly, like we were talking in the pre-chat, I got you on the show when you were just starting and because it was exciting times. I mean, everybody was just starting to dive in. And then now I'm really excited to hear your experience now in these last 6 months. But before we get into that, like just tell us a little bit more about the Innovative School Summit that you presented at. How was that environment? Was this your first time in one of these education conferences? So give me a little bit of background there, how that went. And of course, tell us a little bit about your presentations and how that went.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Innovative School Summit, definitely something I will never forget. All the teachers were there were absolutely fantastic. All the educators that I talked to, absolutely fantastic. I could walk up to somebody random, spark a conversation, and it seemed like everybody was super, super friendly. But it was my first ever conference like that, and I was speaking at it. So, I showed up a day before, went to a lot of the sessions, networked with a lot of people. But then the day of my presentation, I gave my presentation and it got wonderful feedback. I had a, it was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing. I had a line to come and talk to me after I was done, and I almost bled into the next session, and I had to go out to the hallway. But that was absolutely fantastic. And I think the presentation is just really, really good at flipping the mindset from, oh my gosh, artificial intelligence is super
Mhm.
scary. Let's act like it's not there. And keep our heads moving forward to, okay, artificial intelligence is here, and understanding that, the AI tool that 13-year-old has when they're 23 entering the workforce is going to be so exponentially better. And let's prepare our students for that future. And then just showing them, the cool things that they can do with AI and how they can use AI to better prepare their curriculum, prepare their students for a future where AI is more prevalent. And it's really just that presentation is really good at just flipping the mindset for those educators. And it's been very, very well received.
Well, that's great. And I'm so glad to hear that. And also just the fact that you were the only, AI presenter there at the Innovative School Summit, and as we know, we are going to get some late adopters into, this new technology. And of course, because it is so brand new and many people just kind of like, there's obviously the early adopters, very much like yourself and myself and countless others that are out there. But then there's also kind of the people that are kind of like the wait and see, kind of see what's happening. Let's see if we can work out all the kinks and then kind of try it out. So again, that's what we're seeing. But I'm glad that you had some tremendous success, as that this is something that for a lot of us, the school year is about to start in a couple of weeks and we're ready to go. And so there's still a lot of questions that are out there, and many of us do not have too many answers. So, going along with that, William, in the past 6 months and the work that you have been doing since then, and of course, the countless schools that you're working with, has a new trend emerged as far as, maybe I guess either the fear of ChatGPT, or what are the things that come up the most for teachers or by teachers and administrators?
Yeah. So right away when I was giving the presentations, I think most teachers didn't really know about ChatGPT. I mean, I started giving them a month after ChatGPT came out, pretty much. So right when I was giving them, most teachers hadn't heard about ChatGPT. But then as time has gone on, the first question I ask before I even start the presentation is, hey, how many of you guys have used these tools, have used ChatGPT? Um, and as time goes on, I see more and more hands raising. And as time goes on, I really see people understanding more that, artificial intelligence is here to stay. And the mindset has been shifting more to, okay, given that it exists, how can we act now instead of necessarily being scared of it? I think as teachers see more and more lesson plan generators come out and all these sort of things, they realize how helpful these tools can be. And I think that's been a great shift I've seen in the past 6 months with the educators. Is it's been less negative feedback and more positive. This can really help us out.
Excellent. No, and you know what? I agree with you on that. As far as everybody that I have been able to meet and speak to in real life, and then of course, people that have come on the show, it just seems that for a lot of teachers, there is a little bit more peace in the fact that, oh yeah, the robots aren't here yet to take our jobs and to do everything that we do. Now what they're seeing is that this is simply a tool, and I kind of really just like the fact that you can think that it is your personal assistant that can help you. And one of the things that I love the most about this too is, like you mentioned, the teachers coming to the realization that their years of lesson plans or their years of lessons that they've had can easily be reworked and revamped and be tweaked in such a way that it fits all of your classroom learning styles and of course reading levels and so on. So that is so much potential because of the fact that as a teacher I can adapt immediately on the go if I have a document and pop it in and just say, hey, I need to change the reading level on this to make it appropriate or age appropriate for some of my students. You can totally do that. And I think a lot of teachers, I think that's what excites them the most, that they're seeing it as a personal assistant as opposed to somebody that's here and just going to go ahead and just take my job and I won't have anything to do. But that's what I've loved, dealing with the burnout, giving the teachers back more time. So you're absolutely right. There's definitely a lot of platforms out there that have come out that are teacher centered because they've got that teacher mind at heart of let's ease, some of that work or some of that trouble. But of course, that helps with the student lesson delivery as well, as teachers can really focus on and focus and target those needs that they have. So I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to my sister the other day. She's a third grade teacher, and I was just bouncing ideas off her because one of the pushbacks I have got from my training is elementary teachers saying that it doesn't necessarily relate to them as much just because their students are directly using ChatGPT. But what I usually tell them is, AI has a promise to affect your students' future. So let's focus on this. But I was just bouncing ideas off of her, and the lesson plan generators got brought up, and I have one on my website, but there's another one I saw on another website called Auto Classmate that connects with state standards, and I just had her try both of them out, and she loved the whole connecting to state standards aspect of a lesson plan generator. So and now there's even AI tools that can connect everything back to your state standards, which is super helpful. So
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And Tanya, thank you so much for joining. Tanya is joining us from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Tanya. But going back to, of course, the lesson planning and so on, I've had Eduaid, they've been a guest here. Eduaid is like a fantastic tool that is more than just a lesson plan generator, but they've got, an email, how you can write an email. You can have your rubric in there and just go ahead and check your students' writing. You can do so much. So it's like a Swiss Army knife there approach to a lot of those little tasks that take up so much time. We've got Magic School .ai also who's been on, and so many others, and there's countless. And that's what I love about it, that as the technology moves, there are many wonderful educators, and these are built by educators that again understand those struggles and are wanting to help out and ease or put an ease to those tasks that a lot of teachers just are overwhelming. Like one of the things that I love the most is, back in the day when we still used paper, having stacks of essays that I would have to read. Those stacks were very ominous. And then, of course, we started using Chromebooks, and then I call them my digital stacks. Yeah, it was a little bit better because now I can sit down on my couch and I can grade from anywhere, even from my phone. But it was still a digital stack that I had to do. And now you've got, great tools that can help you as far as the feedback is concerned, and to give some amazing actionable feedback, which is most important because as a teacher, we know that that could be very time consuming. So, I mean, for myself, education right now, it's an exciting time to be in this space right now as a teacher, trying out some of these tools. And of course, obviously, making sure you're using what suits you the best.
absolutely.
So, William, as going back, I know you were talking about that experience, going bouncing off ideas with your sister and so on. Now that you were working teachers, but how about administrators? I want to know, have you had some of these, conversations with administrators or superintendents? And I'm curious to know what their thoughts are on what we're seeing now in education with AI.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with administrators, I mean, when I'm setting up these trainings for these schools, the meetings are all with the superintendents or the principals, whoever is in charge of that at that district. But I've noticed that they really want their teachers to be not afraid of it, I would say. They want, I'd say in the meetings, they're always like, you're going to teach them how to not be afraid of it and how to use it, right? Like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. So that's their reaction. And as far as I've gotten lots of questions about policy and things like that, are we going to need to include this? I just, usually tell them, yeah, you are. But yeah, their reaction to it is I haven't really seen any necessarily scared administrators. It's more, can you please calm the nerves of my teachers?
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you are having those conversations. And as you know, like you said, it's new technology. It's just that comfort level, and of course also just that skepticism, like, is this for real, and is this going to be something that is useful and that can add value? And that's one of the things that here on Maya Tech Life is that we always want to make sure that we share what is good, what is out there, but also have those conversations on what are still some of those pain points that we may still be seeing. And for yourself, obviously for me, I always stand on the side as far as the privacy concerns, the data concerns, and so on. What is it that you're hearing out there in, the spaces that you have been at and the schools that you've been at?
Yeah, it's a lot of questions about from teachers, especially is understanding that whatever you put into something like ChatGPT, it's stored somewhere, and it's them realizing that, and just the question of student data privacy. I always make sure that in the training session, I'm telling them, you need to make sure students are not putting any personal information into ChatGPT. Um, just like all the data privacy laws we follow right now, mapped onto artificial intelligence bots, artificial intelligence. And yeah, that's the main concern I've seen in the data realm, and just data privacy and that sort of thing. I've read some really good stuff from just the Department of Education. I know if you just look that up, Department of Education, artificial intelligence and education, they have good data there as well.
Yeah. And then for me, like I said, that's really one of the main concerns. And, it's very interesting, like you mentioned, as far as Chat GPT and a lot of these AI tools, AI, they're just really the large language models that are pretty much word predictors, as you're constructing a sentence, kind of like your text when you're about to write a sentence and then it's predicting what it is or what would fit best next. I think one of the things too there for a lot of companies was we don't want to input anything or create anything because all of a sudden what you're putting in there could be maybe something that's NDA or top secret for that company. All of a sudden, Chat GPT opens that up, somebody puts in an awesome prompt, and all of a sudden bam, it just spits out this amazing plan, and there you go. So you just ended up losing something that was maybe private or just proprietary for a company. And so I think it's very important that we understand those things too, as well, as far as your personal information. You don't want to put in your names, you don't want to put in addresses, you don't want to put in any of those things, because at the same time somebody can easily write a prompt and then all of a sudden it'll generate something either with your idea or maybe with some kind of identifier. And that's something that we definitely need to always keep in mind. And of course we know that when we first started, or when we 6 months ago when we did the show, I mean, we knew that the age restriction on it was 18, and then we saw that they dropped it down to 13. Are there any concerns with that, as far as maybe, I know in the conversations that you've had, 13 years old, do you see still a lot of schools that are very just cautious about that? Or do you, or have you run into any schools that may be like, hey, you know what? We're good. We're going to go ahead and open this baby up, and we're going to see what we can do for anybody 13 and up. What is it that you've seen out there through your experience, if
Yeah.
anything?
I haven't had any schools comment directly on that. What I have noticed is, one of the sessions in the training is about ethical and taking AI into the classroom in an ethical way, right? And I'd say I haven't had really anybody wanting to just bring it onto their classroom. We talk about the slow, easy, gradual. First off, I just having the teacher on the board with the AI bot and with ChatGPT, and it's just got to be slow and gradual, making sure all the ethics are coming with it. And like, I don't think. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think right now it's just free reign. Everybody just hop on ChatGPT in the classroom. It's definitely must be it has to be a slow and ethical, drip into the classroom. Um, but I haven't seen no school has asked me about any questions directly related to that. I think everybody's pretty much on the same page there.
There you go. That's good. And Tanya, I want to just read her comment. Thank you so much, Tanya, for commenting. She says, I believe AI will be an incredible tool for us educators to use this coming year. It will make planning for lessons and creating hands on projects a lot easier and more engaging for my students. And that right there is one thing that I absolutely stand by. We were having a conversation in episode, I think it was 210 with EduAid, and we're talking about how these platforms can allow you now to go in a little deeper than just that iceberg kind of that we describe, where sometimes you just see the tip of the iceberg, which is many times the only thing that is able to get delivered in class, obviously because there's varying levels, of students in the classroom. But now with a tool like, ChatGPT or many of the other platforms out there, now you can go in a little bit deeper and create a better learning experience for all and go as deep as you need for, the various learning levels that you may have within your classroom. So I absolutely agree that this could be something that can help teachers in a tremendous way, but also the students to be able to have something that meets their needs, number one. And if they need additional supports, they get those additional supports, but also not costing the teachers a lot of time. So that's why I'm with Tanya. Thank you so much for sharing that comment. I really appreciate it. So, William, tell me a little bit more. Just okay, as far as what your plans are, what it is that you're doing right now. Currently, we've seen the growth. We've seen Groovy Education kind of grow and take off. So, what is it that you have planned next?
Yeah, so right now I'm really focused on just making the training as best as it can be. I'm not really worried about anything else besides just really working on it because the more I work on it, more um it gets better and better and better. And then more schools hear about it and I can help out more people. Um, that's really the main thing right now, especially just the season I'm in coming into August when all the schools are doing professional development right before school. The season I'm in right now is really just cranking down on the training, getting rid of any of the little spots where teachers might have a hiccup, smoothing it out, making sure everything goes smooth. Come August, especially, the third, fourth week of August, every day I'm with the school district for at least a couple hours. And I'm really looking forward to that. We're looking forward to interacting with all those educators, helping out. And then as we continue, I have noticed a lot of schools, wanting to wait. And I will still be there for them when they get to there. So I think this is definitely the plan I'm going to be on for the next year or two, is really getting this training down and really getting feedback from teachers on where they are with it. And then from there I can assess, okay, where can I help next? What can I do to best serve the districts when it comes to artificial intelligence and education?
That's wonderful. And I'm glad to hear about all that growth. And so I want to ask you, like for those schools that, 5 months ago that you started working with, are you still currently working with some of those schools? And obviously I know that you've partnered up with more, but are you still currently working with some of those schools that you started working with?
Yes. So right away, the 30 presentations, 30 plus at different school districts, I'd say lots of them are coming back to it now. Been in contact with a lot of them for sure. Like in August, or in the fall, I should say, in the fall semester, there's 20 schools so far for sure down. And, I get like almost an extra one or two people coming to me each day. So I just scheduling conflicts and things like that, wanting to make sure everybody gets their slot. But repeat the question one more time.
Yeah, just some of the schools that you already started that you had worked with in the beginning, if you're currently still working with them now. And the reason I asked that is just because I want to see your perspective,
Yeah.
if you've seen any growth or, kind of just any kind of stats on that or any analytics, like, the schools that you work with, how are they handling, what they're seeing now, or, are they still kind of in the same, has there been growth, no growth, so I'm just kind of curious about that.
Yes, with the schools I've already helped, it's actually been really crazy. It's been absolutely fantastic. Teachers feel free to email me all the time with questions that I've helped in the past on the training with. And they just shoot me. I tell them, like, don't hesitate, shoot me an email, whatever questions you have. Lots of them just even ask me to construct prompts for them and things like that. Cause I have that educator prompt library on my website and it works fantastic in ChatGPT. So I get a lot of, can you make this prompt for me? And things like that. You know, the teachers have been absolutely fantastic and just reaching out to me after the fact. Superintendents. I mean, today, the very first school I gave a presentation at, got an email from their superintendent today to get their training scheduled for the fall. So it's just been absolutely fantastic. You know, it's been very, very well received from these school districts, and I'm excited by just continuing to help them.
Absolutely. Like, and I am so excited for you. Like I said, having you on close to 6 months ago when this was just barely opening up, and then just to see where you're at now and the service that you're doing for those schools is something that's wonderful. And, I applaud you for what it is that you're doing and getting out there and helping educators, because we definitely need a lot more help in this realm. And we know that there are countless people that are out there that are sharing their expertise and trying to do the best. But considering, the population and of course the number of schools and the number of teachers, we definitely need way more, help out there so we can get that to our teachers. But one thing that I did want to share is, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and share your webpage
Yeah.
here, because I think that this is phenomenal that you would have this library here for teachers that they can go and visit. So let me pop this in here. There you go. So if I just go to the main website here, Groovy Education. All right. So here we go. But this is what you were talking about, which was the prompt library. So any educators that are out there right now, or anybody listening, whether you're in education or not, and you're just curious, you can go ahead and go to groovyeducation.com, and it's groovy, not groovy like the last name, but it's Groovy Education. All of that will be in the show notes. But I think that this is something that is great. And I mean, you show here how to use the documents, even how to request a prompt, and how to open ChatGPT. But you've got prompts here that can definitely help teachers, Socratic questioning. You've got creating guided questions. You've got all of these documents here. And I must ask, William, are these resources that you have here free?
Absolutely free. There's a library of AI tools as well. There's a prompt library in there. Everything is um, absolutely free for any educator that wants to do some different stuff in their classroom. You know, there's with the AI tools, there's things that create group projects that use artificial intelligence in them and things of that nature. And going back to the prompt library, there's all sorts of different categories in there. Creating AI resistant questions, in class activities, lesson planning. As I was building out the training, I realized out of all the documents of prompts I was creating, so I decided to put them all into a library on the website there.
There you go. Guys, I mean, teachers, anybody that's out there, those of you that are watching live, those of you that are going to be catching this on the replay, please make sure that you go check out Groovy Education, because this is a great way for you to start also just your AI experience here. And again, if you're curious, William's got a lot of tools here available, a way for you to contact him as well. And of course, just really his passion and enthusiasm to bring AI into the hands of amazing educators. Also, of course, with the end mind of benefiting all students as well. So that is wonderful. So, William, I mean, it's just amazing what you've been able to do, what you continue to do. And I'm just excited to see what the next 6 months will do. Maybe we'll schedule a third appearance in 6 months just to see how busy you're going to be. Because I know from the start of school, probably till December, you're definitely going to be very busy, my friend.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be fantastic. Yes.
No, absolutely. I love that. So, William, okay, so before we kind of just start wrapping up and everything, I know that this was kind of like just a second show as far as, following up and what it is that you're doing. I want to ask you your personal, I guess, take or your personal opinion on what it is that we're seeing right now in education, and in your own personal view through your experience. Obviously, you're a lot younger than I am. You definitely more experienced in tech, I guess I would say, at a younger age. What is it that you envision, or where this might be going, and why should teachers really prepare for this now?
Yes. So basically, why I started this in the first place is student critical thinking ability is diminishing at a high rate. And with something like ChatGPT coming out, it only makes it go way faster. Students aren't having the ability to critically think. Why? Because they're on TikTok all day watching their 15-second videos. Boom, boom, boom. There's no attention span. They're going to class trying to listen for an hour. And they're used to their 15-second videos on TikTok, and they are maybe paying attention for 5 minutes of it. And then they're going home and having to do their assignments, and they have a tool like ChatGPT. And kids being kids often use tools like ChatGPT to help them complete their assignments. I mean, if you were to put yourself in their shoes, being a 14-year-old, you probably got up at 6 a.m. to go to school, or you had an activity before school, you go to school for 7 hours, then you're going to work, or you're going to your sport practice, or you're going to that after school activity. Boom, you're going home eating supper. Okay, now it's time to do my homework. And there's a tool called ChatGPT that can do it for you. They might use that tool called ChatGPT to do it for them, but that really diminishes their critical thinking skills. And there's no thinking that's going on before the pen hits the paper, which is just diminishing their critical thinking skills. And there's extreme ethical impacts behind that. Their ability to create their own thoughts, ideas, and opinions when they're older is huge. And the fact that if they do develop that critical thinking skill and they have a mastery of a topic and they're able to use AI tools to their advantage, they're going to be pretty invaluable in the workforce. So by me going to schools and helping educators, it's really set up to set the students up for success. Yes, it's helping educators in a big way. It's getting them hands-on with the AI technology and helping them out, adapting to the new times. But at the same time, it's helping their students out a ton. The training is formatted as the first day is kind of that big mental shift from let's shove this thing away to, okay, this is here and it's here to stay. And it has a promise to have a massive effect on our students' future. So let's figure out, let's take a step back and look at how we're developing our curriculum or giving our curriculum to our students right now. And let's account for AI's existence. And then the second session goes into, okay, how can we actually adapt our assignments and actually doing that, actually taking assignments and adapting them to take into account for AI's existence. And then the session 3 and that's just a big help in the critical thinking skills. And then session 3 going into what are the ethics behind AI? How do we ethically integrate this into the classroom? But more importantly, how can we have students learn by doing? I ask them, think of a time where you learned the most in your career. And everybody goes to school for 4 years, maybe even more, but you learn more on those first 2 years on the job than you learned in the whole 4 years at college. So, bringing that to the education world, we learn most while we're actually doing the thing. So that's the big in the session 3. And then in the last session, it's more about, okay, professionals in the field are using this to their advantage already. I bring up a story about one of my high school best friends just graduated college with this construction management degree, got his first job as a project manager at a pretty big construction company in Fargo, North Dakota. And his boss came up to him and asked him how he was spending so much time in the field with the guys and not as much time in the office, doing those management things, writing emails, doing the schedules, all the blueprints and things like that. So my friend pulls up ChatGPT and he said, look at this. It writes my emails for me. It does all the scheduling for me. Like I use it for efficiency. And now he's only has to spend, the first 2 hours in the office during the day while the other guys are spending the whole first half of the day in the office. So his boss came and asked him how he was doing that because he was still doing a really good job. And just showing that, he's really good at influencing people, managing people, encouragement, things that a manager, construction management guy should have. And then he's also using those AI skills to just make him better at his job so he can be more human centric with his employees. And then, so that's basically really the same thing, mapped onto the education realm. Okay, how can you use this in the same way in education, taking less time away from lesson planning and grading and suggestions for feedback and more human-centric education with the students. So I really hope that the education goes in that way in the future. And I am definitely here to help make that happen because the students, it'll pay off for the students in the future.
Absolutely. No, everything that you said, was just great. Last night I had an amazing conversation with a founder of Enlight app, and his app is more like you said, that human connection. And we know that there's a lot of trainings. His is based on SEL. There's a lot of trainings that get rolled out and so on to a lot of districts, but they're still very teacher centered, where it's the teacher that's leading. And it's kind of like passive learning, where you try and engage students by, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? How are you doing? But it's all of that. But here, again, he did where the teacher can know the students by building profiles. The students answer 4 questions at the beginning of the week, gives the teachers feedback, shows some trends, what's happening, what's not, what are likes and dislikes. And then the teacher can really adapt and really take those approaches, like you said, that human centric approach, where you're making that connection. So I love like what you shared right now. Obviously, this is the goal of really helping our teachers with those tasks that take up time, so that they can really dive in and engineer those learning experiences, and really just create an environment where all students are engaged, and tools that they can easily adapt any lesson to meet the needs of their students. So man, I commend you for what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I know that those teachers will benefit. And for all our audience members as well, again, if you're interested in getting in touch with William, all his information will be on the show notes, but you can check out Groovy Education if you want to check out some of those free, free tools, free prompts, and just some of the information that he has there on his website. Please feel free, join up, just get clicky with it, like I always tell people, and just dive in, get clicky with it and see what you can do. William, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, as always. Again, like I said, and I've said it several times, I appreciate your effort and the work that you're doing. Keep up the great work, and we'll see what happens within the next 6 months. And we'll definitely be glad to have you back and just tell us a little bit more as we follow up. As you'll definitely be out there in the schools, speaking to teachers, speaking to administrators, and it'd be great to hear what it is that they're talking about and what feedback it is that they're giving back. So that's definitely great. So
Yes.
thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And before we go, obviously, we always end the show with the last segment, the last 3 questions. And this segment is sponsored by Content Clips. Make sure you check out Content Clips. If you are a creator or video podcaster like myself, you know that creating content can take hours and hours and hours. So please make sure you check out contentclips.com, and you can get in contact with Dylan Schmidt, and he can make all your content for you, where you don't even have to worry about any softwares or knowing how to edit or anything. So make sure you check out Content Clips. All right, guys. So here is the last segment of the show. And William, I hope you remember, the last segment doesn't change much at all whatsoever. So it's just 3 questions that we have here. So question number 1, just again, just a little quick reminder. Kryptonite is what made Superman weak. So
Yeah.
kryptonite was Superman's weakness. So William, in the current state of AI in education, what would you say is your current edu kryptonite?
My current kryptonite in AI education, I'd say 6 months ago it would have been public speaking, but not anymore. Now, especially just getting with the educators, is understanding really how to help the educator that might not have as good of tech literacy. That's really the next season I'll be in, especially with the schools, is really working on helping teachers that have lower tech literacy, figure out ChatGPT, figure out how it's affecting education. So I'd say the current kryptonite is definitely tech literacy.
Excellent. Excellent. And before we go on to the next question, big shout out to Teachers on Fire, Tim Cavey. Thank you so much. Great to see you back on the socials, Tim. Glad you had a nice little break, but it's good to see you back. So welcome, and thank you so much for being part of the show today. All right. Question number 2, William, again. Now, if you can have a billboard with anything on it, all right. And I know 6 months ago you gave me a billboard, but we know that a lot has changed in 6 months. So
Yeah.
if you can go ahead and redo your billboard after 6 months, what would you put on your billboard and why?
I would put critical thinking rocks, just because, we really have to make sure these students can develop their own thoughts, ideas, and opinions in the future. So just really an emphasis on critical thinking, making sure everybody can see it.
Excellent. Wonderful. All right. And question number three, we changed this one a bit. I know before it was like, hey, ask me a question, but it's like I would rather have all our audience members listen to our guests speak rather than the host, because definitely did a lot of speaking today. But if you could turn any hobby or favorite activity into a full-time profession, what would it be and why?
I would say a full-time I've been I just ran the Grandma's Half Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota this summer. So I'd say maybe running, just because I do it multiple times a week, and if I could just do it for money, I think I would just run and clear my mind and just keep going.
There you go. That's good. Staying healthy,
Oh
being
yeah.
outdoors, getting that oxygen in the lungs, and of course, getting paid for it. Why not?
Yes.
Well, William, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I know that this was kind of like a not really a last minute thing, but sort of, but it doesn't matter because, here at Maya Tech Life, we're definitely flexible. And anytime that we find an opportunity to have a great conversation, we definitely make it happen. And I'm glad that we were able to make this conversation happen because I love to hear what you're doing. I love to hear your successes and I love to hear about your growth. And maybe in 6 months again, like I said, we can revisit again and see where you're at and where the current state of education is with AI. So, again, as a guest, you always have an open invite and you just reach out to me and we can definitely make it happen. So, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Yes, I appreciate you so much, Fonz. You offer so much value, and just simply following you on Twitter has offered me extreme amounts of value. And you just having me on the podcast twice now, I can't appreciate you anymore. So thank you so much.
Oh man, you're absolutely welcome, man. You just keep doing what you're doing, and I'm just excited. All right, guys, thank you so much for all our audience members that joined us tonight. I know I saw Tim Cavey in the chat. I know I saw Tanya, but for all of you that are going to be catching this on the replay or listening to it later on your favorite podcast player, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all of your continued support. Thank you. I'm thankful that you do find value in our content and in our conversations. So please make sure you visit our website at myedtech.life, myedtech.life, where you can check out this amazing episode and the other 210 amazing episodes with educators and creators that you can take some knowledge nuggets from and sprinkle them onto what you are already doing great. And of course, if you would love to contribute to our mission of connecting educators and creators one show at a time, please stop by our merch store that you can find there on our website. You can purchase a cap, you can purchase a shirt. Any little thing, guys, goes back to the show so we can continue to bring you some amazing, amazing conversations with wonderful educators, creators, education practitioners, the people that are out there doing the work, guys. I really appreciate you all. And please make sure you go to all our socials and follow us at myedtech.life. YouTube, please make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a share, so all the great algorithms can put us into all of your little social media accounts, or big social media accounts, I should say. But again, thank you as always for your support. And my friends, as always, until next time, don't forget, stay techie.